Hi, and welcome to part 2 of the second Meraki-versary YouTube Hub. This is Martina, and I am more than happy to be also part of the second part of this great release. I will be working with the beautiful Butterfly Garden stencil and either stamps from Flaming Birthday or Crafty Friends stamp sets. Not sure which one I'll be taking at the end because I don't know where my card is going. And I can tell you, it will be a challenging one for me, but I decided to keep it real for you and me. I have just cut my package open and have checked that my paper is in the same size as my stencil. It's a 6x6 piece of cardstock. And then I'm starting to put some Distress Oxide down onto my cardstock. I'm using salvaged patina, peacock feathers, and chipped sapphire, which is a color combination that works well with the Meraki sparkles I had on hand. That's why I decided to go with this color combination. I'm for sure not a ink blender or very used to it, but I think applying the inks with these brushes is something not really hard and I think very achievable for everyone. So I decided to take, this way to color my background this time. When my colors were on the paper, I have put some of the ink of all three colors onto my non-porous craft mat and used some clean water and a brush to add some colored splatters onto my background. Of course, there's always one color where the splatters don't show because it's the same color, but I absolutely love the effect it creates because you get a lot of movement on the background without adding something that really attracts the eye because you're simply adding color that is already there. Very important here, always clean your desk and also be patient and let everything dry before you go to the next step, which is also a note to myself, which I will ignore later on. To end the splattering off, I'm using just some white ink and set this aside to dry. And in the drying time, I decided to go with the Hox Slimline die and the Crafty Friends stamp because I think these work very well together. But now to my mess. I decided to use the whole stencil and add some texture paste through the whole stencil. I'm always using a big palette knife to do so because like this you get the most smooth results. But as you see, I'm having a hard time to fill the butterflies properly, and even because the openings of the stencils are almost too big for my idea or my technical skills. But I'm trying my best and trying to spread the texture paste as even as I can through the stencil. Before I'm moving to the next step, which will be lifting the stencil and pouring some embossing powder over the still wet texture paste. My first mistake was to tape the stencil from both sides to the paper, which gave me a hard time to get rid of these tapes and get the stencil off the paper. But you see, I managed to do it somehow. And then my background wasn't really dry. It seems to be a pattern that my brain switches off when I'm trying to film for YouTube videos because I'm focusing so hard on techniques that I forget my basic steps, which would mean leave your background dry before you do anything else. So I ended up, as you see, with a lot of embossing powder on my distressed areas, which I had to blow carefully off before I started to heat set my butterflies. My butterflies weren't dry, which made them bubble like crazy. I know there are people that like it. I personally, that's personal preference, I absolutely don't like it, but I decided they started to bubble, so I'm going with it so I get an even result over the whole card. But when I finished to heat emboss all the butterflies, I decided to run the whole background panel through my big shot machine, and everything went out flat and smooth. And yeah, it was solved somehow, but I thought it's so important to show it to you because the cards that probably in the end look very beautiful took many turns and many mistakes and weird rescuing actions, but I'm now back on track and I'm layering the slimline hogs. I absolutely love these big, bold focal words. And I decided to give them a 2-layered embossing because I wanted to have a really bright, white, opaque coverage of my word, which I'm doing now. It's just embossing ink, white embossing powder, and heat setting the whole thing. And after that's been done, I will be going back and adding a white sparkly embossing powder to it, which will add some more shush and sparkle and be also a nice connection to the Meraki sparkles, which I will be adding at the end of my process. But first, I will be adding my main sentiment, which is the Crafty Friends Are the Best from the Crafty Friends stamp set. I am stamping with archival ink, which is a dye ink, and I will be pouring some clear embossing powder over the fresh, still wet ink and give it a quick heat set just to make sure everything is boned and fixed. And I also love how these clear embossings over sentiments like this give a slightly raised and glossy finish, which adds even more to the cards, I think. And yeah, as I told you, the sparkles are the last finishing touches. I can say that even the card took many unnecessary crossroads. I totally love how it turned out, and I really hope you liked my real crafty process. And yeah, I hope you stay in the hop. It's now time to jump onto the next channel, which is Marine's. And you also don't forget to check the description box because there is, again, something amazing to win. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Bye.